Well, ladies and gentlemen, the very exciting general election in the UK is not too far away now. How far away, I hear you ask? Well, about 24 hours as of making this video. Today is July the 3rd. It will be on July the 4th. So when this video goes up later on this evening, it won't be too long before the British people wake up and make their vote. I find it kind of interesting that in America, you'll be celebrating Independence Day, and here, well, we'll be waiting for a Labour government to be announced, because that is who is going to win. Keir Starmer will be the next Prime Minister. Let's all clap and cheer, because we are all so happy about this. Yes, it's going to do wonders for the country, but this is due to the Tories, the Conservative government, who are anything but conservative, ruining the country for the last 14 years. However, it's not all doom and gloom. Oh no, there are some positives to this UK general election, which we don't often say. Nigel Farage, as we all know, made a huge return and is standing for Reform UK. And because Reform now is growing in popularity, it's actually amazing to see, this is scaring the establishment. So of course, as we always see, the mainstream media has been deployed to attack, discredit the party in any way they can. We've recently seen the BBC try and stitch up Nigel Farage during a question time. We've seen strange Reform candidates now suddenly going back to the Tory party due to bigotry, and obviously the whole situation with Channel 4, where a guy called Andrew Parker was coincidentally filmed while saying some very offensive things, and this has now led to Reform making an official complaint against Channel 4 for election interference. The Daily Mail report. Adam Richardson, the Reform secretary, said in a letter to the Electoral Commission that it was entirely evident that a Reform activist filmmaking a string of sickening racist remarks was a plant within the Channel 4 news place. It is wholly unbelievable that by complete coincidence Channel 4 were performing an undercover investigation and by chance were paired up to go canvassing with a man who was pretending to be someone else, using a false voice and saying almost exclusively racist and bigoted remarks, he wrote. The Channel 4 broadcast has clearly been made to harm Reform UK during an election period, and this cannot be described as anything short of election interference. Reform has faced intense scrutiny since Andrew Parker was filmed in Clacton suggesting migrants should be by soldiers as they arrive on UK beaches and calling Prime Minister Rishi Sunak an effing P-word. Nigel Farage, party leader, has claimed the whole episode does not add up, with Reform distancing itself from Parker, a part-time actor. Parker told Mail Online that while he is an actor, he volunteered to leaflet for the party because he believes in its message, and Channel 4 has denied that Andrew Parker, who was filmed using a racial slur to describe Rishi Sunak, was paid or known to the broadcaster before the expose on Farage's general election campaign in the constituency of Clacton. Yeah, so very coincidental, very odd, right? Suddenly Reform are back, they're gaining popularity, and all of this stuff is now coming out. All of these attacks are coming out of nowhere, again, coincidentally. Anyway, who knows what will come from that investigation, but the mainstream media is very obvious now. The establishment are going out of their way to discredit Nigel Farage, attack the party, and for any Americans watching, it's like when Donald Trump began his political career. You know, suddenly everyone was attacking him. If he wasn't in politics, none of the stuff would be happening, and we all know the lengths they're going to now to try and keep that power, because the election is coming up, and I think they know now Donald Trump is going to win. The left are very scared. It doesn't matter what it is. We've seen across Europe, for example, France, the right are gaining major victories, and this is worrying to them, because if the right are gaining more power, that means agendas like woke ideology has less power. But I think it's pretty obvious who I and many others are going to be voting for tomorrow. Labour are going to win. Yes, we all know this. I don't think a party has had an easier election than Labour this year, and this is due to the Tories. There aren't words to describe them that will keep this video monetized. That's just, let's just say that one. But hopefully this is the beginning of Nigel Farage getting into Parliament, and then potentially the pendulum swinging back to normality, because I really don't think people are ready for what is to come with Labour. I really don't. We all joke about it in the UK. You know, we all say, oh, things are going to get really bad. But I actually don't think people are ready, especially when it comes to things like, you know, gender ideology and how that affects women, which I'll say now, I find it very strange that people out there who are against all of this stuff are still considering voting Labour. And then also you add on top of that their stance on immigration, and we know how they're going to handle that and how that will impact not only women but everybody else. And again, you still have people wanting to vote Labour who are against all of these things. And for people in America, it's like people around you complaining about woke ideology, immigration, whatever, but when the election comes around, they go, actually, you know what? I'm going to vote for the Democrats. It doesn't make any sense, right? It is backwards. But for the rest of this video now, I want to get into a video Nigel Farage has uploaded onto his YouTube channel, I think it was 4 days ago now, and he talks about how the mainstream media is trying to stitch up Reform UK. It's around 6 minutes long, so we're going to sit back, relax, and get into what he has to say.
6 days to go until the general election. Boy, we are doing well. How do I know? The level of attacks. To begin, they've dug out a statement from me 10 years ago saying I thought there'd be a war in Ukraine, that we'd made some terrible errors of expanding NATO and the European Union. Well, I was right. They were all wrong. But funny, isn't it? That now gets conflated into I support President Putin, which I never have. I've always thought he's a very, very bad and dangerous person. That was the beginning. That was the beginning of the real pushback against the Reform UK vote, against the momentum that is happening out there in the country. Oh, by the way, I was opposed to the Iraq War, which finished up killing hundreds of thousands of civilians. I was opposed to the Libyan War, which led to the creation of ISIS and the boats crossing the Mediterranean, some of those people now coming across the English Channel. The establishment always fight against me because you know what? I get it right a lot more than they do.
And this is the same for a lot of people. It's not only Nigel Farage, but if you go against any of the mainstream narratives and you have huge influence, soon enough you will get people who will attack you. They'll make articles, hit pieces, etc., etc. It's just the same thing they always do.
And now we get the most incredible saga over the last 24 hours. A so-called Reform UK activist turns up in the Clacton office last Saturday, goes out with an undercover, apparently, Channel 4 news team, and makes a series of very, very racist, derogatory remarks about Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister, about people crossing the channel who he wants to shoot, about turning every mosque into a Wetherspoons. I mean, I watched this stuff. I thought, this is just so over the top. No one speaks like this. This is like an Alf Garnett comedy sketch going back 50 years. And yet, overnight, we found out that the guy is an actor. So we called him this morning. The Daily Telegraph called him this morning. He denied being an actor. After a short period of time, he admitted to other media outlets that he was an actor. And then we found his own website, where he speaks and advertises his services for adverts, for acting, whatever else it may be. And he describes himself as being very well spoken, but he has an alter ego. He can do what he calls rough talk, all right? Now, when he turned up in the office in Clacton last Saturday, I was there at the desk working. He turned up and it was proper call blimey governor, right? He was playing the alter ego. He was acting and not being himself from the moment he arrived. Then he goes out by coincidence on a canvassing team with an undercover reporter from Channel 4. We've also discovered over the course of the day that on another website, he advertises his services for doing undercover filming. I mean, you literally, this is like Netflix. You literally couldn't make this up. Now, we went back to Channel 4, questioned who this guy was, the veracity of what he was saying and in what role he was positioning himself. And Channel 4, interestingly, denied that he was an actor. And yet, we've now found out he's done acting parts in the past for Channel 4. Can you see how the evidence is mounting up? Now, what I don't know is whether he was paid to do this or whether he volunteered to do this. That part of it, we just don't know. What I do know is that this is a stitch-up on the most astonishing scale. And think about it. An activist for a party, not a candidate who holds no position whatsoever, makes the front page of the Times newspaper. The Prime Minister responds to say how awful he feels for his two daughters about this racist remarks that were made about his family. Folks, this is the biggest stitch-up I've ever seen in my life. And I bet you there's even more we're going to find out. Even more will come out over the course of the next couple of days. Well, you know what? You only start taking flak, as they used to say in Bomber Command in World War II, when you're getting near the target, and we're getting near the target. The establishment are literally terrified of us, Terrified not just of us breaking into Parliament and getting a bridgehead, not just terrified of me being the voice of opposition to a very weak Starmer government, which it will be, and hey, the divided Conservatives couldn't possibly provide anything like that. What they're really scared of is what I've said. Over the next 5 years, I intend to build a mass movement of millions across this country for real change. And they know that I could do it. They know that we could do it. And they're terrified because they know that would have an unstoppable momentum. Everything about British politics, the electoral system, the parties, the media is designed for nothing to change. Starmer taking over from Sunak, that's not a change of government, it's a change of management. And all the deep-seated problems that we face will continue and in fact probably get worse. What we're about is a strong, positive vision for this country, its future, the way we educate our kids, to give people a chance to get off benefits and go to work and be better off, to genuinely control our borders, to leave the ECHR, to stop people literally taking the mickey out of this country, to stop the population explosion that is going on through mass migration and devaluing everyone's life. We have got a radical plan to change this country for the better. And you know what? The vested interests want to stop us. All of this appalling, dishonest behaviour that I've seen against us, our people, and indeed me, makes me even more determined to succeed next Thursday. And if you can see what's there in front of you, then please join the revolt.
Man is right about so much in that video. And yeah, look, reform aren't perfect, nobody's perfect, but the imperfections and things that come out about reform, which who knows if they're true or not, if they're stitch-ups, will be highlighted more than anything else. And when he talks about everything being designed not to change, he's completely correct. The Conservatives and Labour are pretty much the same. There's nothing conservative about the Conservative government. What have they conserved? Nothing. And Labour are even worse. And the things that Nigel Farage and the party stand for are things the establishment, the mainstream media, everybody involved don't want to become a normalised thing. And as he mentioned, you know, when you get close to the target, that's when they come after you. When you start going against their narratives and people start, you know, slowly waking up to things. Wait, hold on, I didn't think about it like that. Oh, wait, what they're saying here is actually correct. For example, with immigration and woke ideology, that's when you'll start to get attacked by these people. They have to try and make it seem like you're the bad one, you're the evil one, you're the mean one when you speak out against these things, so the average person doesn't believe you. And it's very easy to convince the average person sometimes. But I do think slowly people are waking up to what is going on, and they don't want a Labour government, they don't want a Tory government, because they're both crap. The popularity we're seeing with Nigel Farage, reform, again, it's not perfect, but what we're seeing is the beginning of change. I really do think we are. But leave your thoughts down below, ladies and gentlemen, on this. What are your thoughts on the mainstream media? Do you think they're trying to stitch up reform and Nigel Farage? I'd like to know. If you have enjoyed, make sure to leave a like rating. If you're new, hit that subscribe button, turn on bell notifications so you never miss a video, comment on this video, share this video, follow my socials down below in the description. But until next time, it has been your boy JD. Have a great day, stay safe, and I'm out. Peace.